blow your mind, change up your whole way of thinking. Women and children first, this vessel is now sinking. Life will go by fast as a nervous person blinking. Use those minds and not just for thinking. We need a little more action to start a reaction, which is a revolution, and that's a revelation.
Greetings, Macadine family and brothers and sisters throughout the world. I am Camille Shabazz of Macadine International. Macadine meaning king, and also it means to regenerate and exalt. But the main mission of Macadine is to restore man to his absolute nature. The nature that's buried in him today, because as I'm about to illustrate in part 2 of why they are destroying men, is that this is a deeply rooted claim. This didn't start yesterday, 10 or 20 years ago. This destruction of man globally has been a 500, 600 year concerted effort coming out of Europe. So in regards to why they are destroying men globally, it's understandable. It's quite plain that if a man is not in his masculine frame and nature, he's easy to run over. If you could file his teeth, so to speak, through diet, as they are doing, you can rule a man. And that's what they've been doing for the last 120 years, like concertedly, since 1863, with coming up with the marriage certificate. This is how they start running you and ruling your family and your life. Make you go get permission from them. You know, when something is illegal, you got to get permission to make it legal. So why is it that marriage, something that's natural, has to go through a court system to get approved? Nonetheless, in 1863, they began this process called marriage, matrimony. Going to a courthouse and having some stranger sanctify your union, which is part of, once again, them controlling the basic unit of civilization, which is the family. Fast forward to 1911. In Jersey City, they started chlorinating water for the first time. And we know today, that was 1911 in Jersey City, New Jersey. They began putting chlorine or chlorinating the public water system. Now, 34 years later, pardon me, in Missouri, pardon me, they introduced in 1945 in Missouri, they began the process of fluoridation of the water. They introduced fluoride in addition to the chlorine into the drinking waters of America. Now we know fluoride is a poison, and that fluoride, when you drink it, it causes you to become docile and manageable. Docile and manageable. Fluoride. Actually, Hitler used fluoride in the concentration camps in Auschwitz to have the Jews in a state of docility. So chlorination and fluoridation, both of these not only destroy or disrupt the endocrine system of a man, but it destroys man's testosterone. Testosterone, as we know, is the master hormone. It's what makes us a man. And what I'm going to demonstrate, and what we demonstrate via Macadine, is how this is a global, historic thing that's been going on for at least 500 years, of them finding out ways to diminish the power of man for the purpose of making him an eternal slave. Now, America represents the apex, or the very culmination of all the plots and plans of the past 500, 600 years rolled up into one. Now, during this time, in 1945, after World War II, after the so-called demise of Hitler, which we know Hitler actually went to Argentina and lived the rest of his days out like a king. After he made that move, after the fake death plot and all that, 30,000 of his scientists were brought to America, which was referred to as Project Paperclip. Now, Project Paperclip brought all the scientists over here, which was here to help further bury the American men into a state of servitude via medication, and once again fluoridation of the water, chlorination of the water, and then chemicalization of the foods, along with pesticizing the foods. All of this part of a design, once again, to wear away at man's masculine nature and sovereign nature. Let us also mention the fact that they made, I don't know what year, but they made circumcision a law, so to speak. They started circumcising us as a rule or law, where the mother had no say-so. I think that stopped somewhere in the early 90s, where it was no longer a compulsive thing, a compulsory thing. But nonetheless, they, for the most part, 90+% still gets circumcised, which is another form of humiliation and degradation of the masculine frame and masculine power. Stitching your penis up and cutting you up and dissecting you and making you some lab experiment. So with all these things being said and done, I don't want to get too far off the course. They're destroying us through what we eat, through what we breathe, through what we drink, and through what we think. And until we get a grasp, until we get back on track with the right mindset, you got to get your mind right. Everything starts with the mind. That's why in the second chapter of the Macadine, it's called Mind Your Own Minds. Mind your own minds. There's no reason for us to be worrying about what somebody else is doing or what someone else is thinking, and especially what someone else is thinking about you. No, brother. You will never progress like that. But first and foremost, what we got to do, you got to stop drinking these poison waters and these poison foods. Look at the subject that I did on the so-called God diet and how dangerous and diminishing for a man it is to partake of that God diet, consisting of grains and beans and things that we've been deceived into thinking are healthy. So the Macadine, we're focusing on getting these things out of our system and then getting the right ideas into our minds. Many people are calling from different directions, trying to get you into this philosophy, get you into this teachings, but this is not about nothing but getting you into yourself. Because all the wealth that ever was or ever is inside of us. And everything that you want is right at our fingertips. All we have to do is be in the right frame of mind. But the right frame of mind, first and foremost, that we need to be in is in our masculine mind. Because once again, this whole world's mission is for you to be a neutered man or a homosexual man. But throughout it all, the goal is for us to be broken down. And it doesn't matter what your color is. The goal is for you to be a manageable, broke down man. That's it. And every day when you wake up, you have to decide. It has to be a personal decision for you and I to say, I am a man today. And I will stand on my square as a man, being in the role fully of how a man is supposed to be, standing upright on his principles and letting no one deter him from doing what it is that he know, that we know we should be doing. And number one, that is setting everything straight and right wherever you are at, starting with yourself and then your home, your family, then the community. Simple as that. But once again, the mind. We gotta get our minds right. It's essential. And get our babies. We have to take charge of our children. We gotta get our babies, brothers. Our babies are being ran into hell and are being taught everything opposite to being a productive, civilized member of society. We have to take charge. It's our role to be a man and take charge of our society. And it's simple as that. But we have to work out daily on some level. 10 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, whatever you got to do. Keep your body and mind in constant motion, because if you're not moving, you're dying. Matter of fact, you're dead if you're not moving on any level. So let us get our minds right. Get your copy of the Macadine book. And please like and subscribe to the Macadine channel, as we're going to take this message all over the globe. From Atlanta all the way to Alaska. We're going to have every man hear the message of Macadine. More later. Peace. Crazy.